What is up, bow enjoyers or potential new bow enjoyers? This is my POB for a Deadeye lightning arrow, not lightning strike. Lightning arrow for the upcoming Mirage League 3.28. So this POB, it's not going to be anything special. It is literally for my own benefit, so I didn't have to think as much this time around. And also for a few friends to copy what it is I'm going to be doing, since they wanted an easy build to follow and easy access to someone that can answer their questions for them. So, what does this POB involve? It's got trees for each act. They're a little bit off. An early map with precise technique, and maps with a crit swap, late maps, inspired learning with a thread of hope. A pre-headhunter, which is basically covers most things you should have or I will have before I switch. And then the final tree, which is everything but fizz to cold conversion for tornado shot. Now, these trees, and same as the gear and the skill setups, there aren't loadouts because I scuffed it originally and I couldn't get it to work by the time I had the whole POB quote-unquote finished. So you will have to manually change through these. Thankfully, there's not a lot. The skill set is start and late, and then late plus maps, which is basically the tornado swap switch. And the start to late is LE hit of the spectrum or lightning arrow before you get spectrum. Now, there is an entire note section involving quite a lot of things, so we'll go through that. Please read this at the top. This covers, what shall I call it? Basically, so you don't do something and then you can go, yo, that was shit, that's your fault. This is sort of a disclaimer at the top, you know, to cover all of that, because I'm not 100% on everything. It should be like 90% there, 95% there, but just in case, you know, just double, triple check everything you plan on doing and following with this, especially the crafting. The crafting I have done myself with a friend as well, but obviously as I've written it down, I might have slipped a mistake slightly. Plus, I will also be checking this as I go too. So yeah, just give these a bit of a read. You might wonder why I stop at the cold conversion, and that's simply because I haven't done it myself before. I would typically, either I'm finished with the league by then, or I play another build. And the fizz convert, obviously, you want mirror tier bow and so many other things. Most of you probably won't even get the currency, maybe. Who knows? So this POB we've got here, we've got the regex for vendors. I actually need to take that back down to that. I've written some notes on 4 links for the gambling and bow threshold when you get a new bow at what levels. Gambling is of course nerfed in Mirage. I don't know how well this is going to be, or if it probably is worth doing if your gear is terribly bad, but who knows. So Act 1. You can mule a ranger if you wish for some extra gear and wisdom scrolls. But mainly buy an iron ring and buy a serrated quiver if one doesn't drop by the time you've killed Hail Rake. Of course, move speed boots as everyone's bread and butter. Make sure you buy those. I've then listed each act, gems to purchase. So you know what they are, what they cost, what quest they come from. I've tried to keep the names as short as possible. So Breaking Eggs, if you don't know, is the Mudflats quest with the rowers. Brutus is Kill Brutus, etc. I've listed lab trials, and then of course I've got links too. In Act 1, you'll use Galvanic Arrow for the whole thing with Shrapnel Ballista. And then you can either swap to Lightning Arrow, or you can use Rain of Arrows when you get to Mavale, when you get to the Caverns of Anger. So on the quest reward from Nessa, just pick what you'd prefer. I think Rain of Arrows is slightly better. And also you don't need to swap, like you won't need LMP. You can get away without going into the extra proj nodes on the tree as well. And overall, I prefer it for clearing. Some people prefer Lightning Arrow, purely personal preference. In fact, I need to just, I'm going to add this in. So that'll be the updated part here that I'll just put in now. Obviously, you don't run LMP with Rain of Arrows. You can just run Added Cold instead. Then basically the next acts, they follow that through. The only thing that might be different, and it'll probably seem as like a little bit try-hard or racer-ish, is I do have a shield charge, faster attacks, and momentum if you have it to be in a weapon swap. You absolutely do not need this. You'll be more than quick enough without it. So don't worry if you don't want to do that. It's purely because I enjoy shield charge. I like going quicker. I believe it makes the campaign quicker, but obviously you've got to spam weapon swaps all the time. Just use blink arrow, frost blink. You'll be more than fine, more than okay. The only thing is you'd probably want to take the bow mastery here, where blink arrow and mirror arrow have a 100% increased cooldown recovery rate. That's it. On to the crafting at the bottom. We have a bow craft. This is mainly for the +2 arrows for the tornado shot switch, because you don't really want to swap until you have the +2 arrows on the bow and then the +1 arrow from the quiver. That's typically when I switch, because you just want the more proj with the tornado shot. With the elemental hit, you can run without it. You can follow this if you still want to run the Ellie hit. There's no real reason to change the tornado shot. I just prefer it, and it seems to do more damage. Before this, your bow is literally just the same, but minus the +2 arrows. So you would just essence spam to hit try Ellie with crit or attack speed, then craft what you're missing. It's fairly simple. These can be quite costly though, especially the bases. And then this ring craft especially can be very costly. There's all RNG involved in these crafts because of Veiled Chaos. So you might end up missing some of the hits, in which case you have to do them again. This cheap starter cluster, this was put in the POB before they've changed the fossil from being only delve. I don't know how expensive this is going to be. It might be cheaper to buy it or harvest craft it. I don't know. So just keep an eye out for this. Be a bit cautious when doing it. There's also chilled cold damage on gloves. It's like increased chill, increased damage to chilled enemies. All that thing, the cold res. You guys will know what I'm talking about. I just buy them. I don't like crafting them. They're too much and I just can't be bothered half the time. Right at the bottom, we've got shopping list. I've split it between early uniques and later uniques. A lot of these are fairly cheap. The only thing that probably won't be is fledgling, taming, and Hiri's Ire. Hiri's Ire is completely optional, by the way. I'm just planning on running it because I'll just be more glass cannon. And it can cap suppress a lot easier with it. Again, you don't have to. Tamings. Everyone's playing elemental builds again, so of course they're going to be expensive. You can just run chaos res rings with life and some added damage. That's perfectly fine. Fledgling, probably going to be a little bit of the case where it costs a few bit of chaos. Wouldn't worry too much about it. It's totally worth it. And then down here's the big things. Massive Watcher's Eye, Massive Thread of Hope, Watcher's Eye, and Natural Instinct. Balance of Power, I've not actually got in the POB at the minute. So you can leave this out if you want. Headhunter and Utmost. Utmost is going to be expensive when you're looking for the good rolls at least. But I'll go over that. And Headhunter obviously is cheaper these days, right? Depends how quick you get there, but you can get away with Inspired Learnings instead. So, what do the trees look like? The trees look like this. So, the Act 1 is fairly simple. You go Primal Spirit by Brutus, you fill the rest for Merveil. Pretty simple. Act 2, you rush straight down to Precise Technique. Now, you always, you need to make sure your accuracy is higher than your life. You can check this in-game on the character panel. If you feel like you're doing no damage, it's likely because your life is higher than Precise Technique. And in this POB, I pick up life nodes fairly late. So, it should be somewhat difficult, but if you are dying a lot, take the life nodes and then activate Precision. Something like that. Act 3, we rush down to Point Blank. We pick up these Onslaught nodes for going quick. You don't have to take these if you're not comfortable with going quick in the campaign. I just prefer it because I'm very fast. Same as these move speed nodes here. You don't have to take these either. The main thing is picking up these Ellie nodes. Obviously the move speed suppress here. You can cross on the elemental again if you don't want to suppress and move speed. Perfectly fine. Come over to Herbalism, some life, accuracy on the bow mastery, etc. It's pretty straightforward. Act 4, This was mainly for Lightning Arrow. You can skip this if you're running Rain of Arrows. And yeah, the elemental wheels, you know, it's fairly simple if you've played Ranger before. First lab, of course, we take Tailwind. I tend to do lab once I hit Imperial Gardens in Act 3. I do it quite early, like 5-6 levels under what you should. But it's perfectly fine, like you don't lack damage on this build. The problem with the POB is it gets to the point now where you might just have to skip through like 2 acts. Say, for example, you'd be on the Act 6 tree, but you're actually in Act 5. That's just a planning mishap on my part because I didn't know the exact numbers of passive points and such. You know, just switch the tree as you go. It's not too big of a deal. Multi-shot is an additional proj again. You can skip it. All these attack speeds are nice for travel skills though. We head up into Leech. Act 6 is just a little bit of Pierce. And this long shot down here. Instant Leech and such. Act 7 is where we get most of our life now. So just make sure Act 7, Act 8, you're double checking that precise technique and your accuracy. Make sure it is fitting. Act 8, I pick up these mana nodes just so I'm a little bit more comfy. It's not too big of a deal. And then life, suppress, evasion, a little bit more elemental damage. And then that is basically, this should be your tree at the end of the campaign. Now, what I tend to do before Katava, obviously you'll have Cruel Lab. And of course we want to finish on Endless Munitions. We take Fast Shot, but you'll notice in the later POBs, I will switch to Ricochet. This is mainly when I get Tornado Shot, because I prefer the chain over the Pierce. But yeah, just make sure you go Fast Shot into Endless Munitions, obviously with a Tailwind first, and you're chilling. Now, this, of course, is still the precise technique tree, and the early maps does still go into it. This jewel is Inertia to sort out any strength problems we may have. We pick up more accuracy clusters. Mark cluster. This is more than good enough to head into red maps with, by the way. I did a SSF run on this build with this tree. It is on my YouTube channel. I did the campaign and a 2-stone run. I did switch to crit towards the end of the 2-stone. But this PT I mainly used through the whole run. So this is tried and tested. It works. There's a little bit of respecking, as you probably noticed, with some of the points, mainly around Act 3, I think it is. It's like these bridge nodes here get changed. But the tree's straightforward. I've put in the crit swap. This still uses the inertia jewel, obviously, but you pick up, say, these bleed nodes here for crit. You pick up the bow crit wheel, the rest of the bow wheel here. And it's all pretty straightforward. Anything after this, late maps, you may notice it's like level 97. You can just drop this dual socket up here. It's not needed. Same way you can drop these double pierce here, the 2 pierce. You can drop that if you have glove implicits. You can drop charisma because, as you can see, we've got plenty of unreserved mana. It doesn't really make a difference. That saves 4 points there. This tree can work at like 90, 85 to 90. You just lose a bit of damage or a bit of HP. You know, it's nothing major. You can spec out of life here. The tree's super flexible. Now, the one thing to note is this suppress wheel here. If you do not have 100% suppress, or mainly, say, below 90, definitely take the mastery that spell suppress is lucky. There's a chart somewhere, I don't have it on hand at the moment. But as long as you're below 90, you actually have like a 97% chance to suppress. It's similar to Svalin with Lucky Block, but obviously it applies to spell suppress. Our last lab, we pick up Focal Point. Effective marks, single target damage. We do need it towards the end of maps and for our stones. After this, we've got an inspired learning tree. I opt to put it here because it's just easiest. You'll probably need to pick up prowess and get, say, one affix of strength on gear. You can put inspired learning up here, but it's just way more points. And it's personally, I don't like this spot up here. This will, of course, be a mini headhunter for those that don't know. But again, just make sure you hit your strength requirement for elemental damage with attacks and whatever else may require it. Now, on to sort of the big boy trees. We've got Inspired Learning and a Thread of Hope here. It's a massive Thread of Hope. And as you can see, the nodes we pick up, we have Blood Siphon here, Harrier, Hired Killer, Finesse, Quick Step, aspect of the links, and forces of nature. Now there is a res node here that you can take, and you can also take leadership. Personally, I don't unless I'm overflowing with points. But these are the main nodes you should take. If you have, eventually in the next tree, I'll show you. But once you have a lethal pride here, you can take weapon artistry if it gives you double damage. Same as perfectionist, but I'll cover that. This cluster here, again, it's pretty simple. It's the triple large. Don't worry if you can't get this. You can roll with this medium, which is repeater streamlined, which is always super cheap. Don't just look for 4 passives, you can get away with 5. The jewels I've got in, global crit and multi. Global crit, multi and life, sorry. So, fairly cheap, fairly straightforward. On to the next tree, which is pre-headhunter tree. So, again, I said I don't like this dual socket up here for inspired learning, but because I've added in the lethal pride that I think has... This specific seed has 4 double damage, I believe. That's going to be so expensive unless you can manage to snipe it. So try for 2 at least. Get 1 if it is dirt cheap. And then your inspired learning goes up here. We obviously have the life accuracy, and then we just spend some points getting the power charges and the frenzy. It's no big deal. Same in the massive wheel. It's exactly the same. Do not take weapon artistry if you do not have double damage. It is a dead node otherwise. Still got the cluster in. You can drop it if you need points. Same as you can drop life down here. We're at 4.5k life. The items are pretty generic. You know, I can even switch to mid-game. 3.7k. It's more than good enough. Some people might wince at the EHP. Don't worry about it. You're a bow build. You're going to be squishy, and you're just going to one-bang everything anyway. It really doesn't matter. Okay, so we'll switch this back to late game. And now we'll go to everything but the cold conversion. So... This ghost dance node here, you might be, why do we take this if we're running a evasion base? Well, actually, we're running a necrotic armor, so we have a load of ES, so just some more EHP. If you don't have this, you don't take ghost dance, you save yourself 2 points. These clusters are expensive, and they are a bitch to craft, because it's a lot of alt spam, but it's basically 12 passive bows with effect, life, LE res, attack speed. And then obviously we get the free dual sockets. We've got an Ancestral Vision in there to get ailment immune. We've still got our Lethal Pride, our Massive Ring. We've got no Natural Instinct up here. We are not using Inspired Learning anymore because we've got the Headhunter equipped. Our second cluster is a 12 passive bow again. But this time, instead of the LE res, we get Chaos res. Everything else is exactly the same. I've got a CB Abyss Jewel here. Doesn't matter what else is on it as long as you get CB. And then a Watcher's Eye, which is crit multi while affected by anger and evade while affected by haste. I don't know how much that's going to cost. Hopefully it's not too much because it is only a double. Remember to move this LE wheel here and we take this mastery here. It does seem a bit scuffed because obviously we've got the massive ring and we still take all these points. But trust me, it's worth it. Your strength should also be covered from the lethal pride at this point. And yeah, we've still got plenty of unreserved mana. If at any point you drop below hit chance, say for example I have here, you just simply go and upgrade your precision. It's in there somewhere. Just level up your precision, get 100%. I've left it so you have plenty of unreserved mana to be free to do that. In the links on the late maps, of course, we have Tornado Shot. Now, what I was playing around in this POB is obviously we have the new support system with the coin or whatever it is. The thing I found best was, say, adding increased crit strikes at level 20. And then we hope that we get a level 1 Mirage Archer on the Tornado Shot. There might be better combinations. I had a quick play around. That's the best one I found. We then have this typical setup that you run. Frenzy, Mana Forged Arrows, Power Charge on crit, Cast on crit, Tornado with Cull. I don't know what would be the best combo here. You could run the Power Charge on crit on the Frenzy and add something else in, the Cast on crit on the Tornado. There's so many things for this one. Same with the auras. Just have a play around. I probably might figure it out on stream and post a video about it maybe. But again, PoE ninjas there for everyone. Someone will find something gimmicky pretty quick, I imagine. Again, we got triple aura. I don't have haste on half the time. I can't remember what I was playing around with this with. I think you need level 4 Enlighten and the 90% mana res on a fledgling to run this. So that's why I've had it unticked. But Anger and Grace is more than enough. Flame Dash, Mark on Hit, Sniper's Mark, Life Tap. You can use any other movement skill here as long as you can use it. So don't try Leap Slam or Shield Charge. I just prefer Flame Dash. Automation Steel Skin for bleed, and obviously that little bit extra shield. And that is basically this PoB in a nutshell. Again, just make sure, because I don't have loadouts, you do use start and mid game, late game in the item sets, and start to late and late plus in the skill sets. All the trees are there. I don't think too much is going to change between now and league start. I may post some Atlas strats of what I think should be good, or things that are unchanged. But again, that all depends. They're not going to be tested, so, you know, as a warning, don't jump straight on them and try and expect them to work. But any questions, feel free to pop into the stream, leave a comment, anything like that. Again, just to reiterate, the PoB was for myself and some friends to copy. It's not like I've put, you know, days upon days of time to make sure this is absolutely flawless. And it's going to be the best PoB ever. It holds your hand and all this. You know, I assumed you have some understanding. It is quite basic. But it does get a bit wonky to understand towards the end. But hopefully you're okay. Again, you can ask questions, comments in the stream, anything like that. So, I wish everyone a great league start with 3.28. Mirage looks to be a banger. And I hope to see you guys in the stream or in the comments. Thank you very much and enjoy.